following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption.
Today's broadcast is being simulcast in broken English.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Welcome to the show that we're doing right now.
What the hell are we doing on this show?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Let's go.
What is this?
Giggity, 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 goo.
Who else but
The Q.
it's showtime?
Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Q. You're listening to the best pop culture, current events, current affairs show, east or west of that Mississippi River, hailing from the great city of St. Louis and worldwide at theqnow.com. I am your host, Mark Bland. Please welcome to 105.3, 1280 AM KYRO. That's right, the blowtorch of the Midwest. This is the Q, and special show for you guys today. Got myself a couple of friends to join me. Please welcome back to the show once again, Mr. Mike Eise, as well as Mr. Jason Kull. What's up, guys? How are you guys?
Good.
How's life treating you? Mike, you doing okay over there?
I'm doing well.
You're doing well. Life
doing
is
well.
Peachy keen?
Loving life.
I saw
living the
pictures.
dream,
I
as
saw
they
pictures.
say.
I saw
Living the
pictures of the grandbaby.
Oh yeah, grandbaby's a little beaut.
You got a brand new
Chubby-cheeked
grandbaby.
Little beauty, Vivian.
Ready to be spoiled by her pawpaw.
Yes.
As fast as time will allow.
Much as I can, of course.
Now,
I will
are you?
spoil
Let me ask
that
you a
little
question.
heart.
Are you the kind of granddad? Let's get. You know what? It's rare that we get into the granddad conversation
true.
so quickly in life. So let's.
Yes, this is a deep rabbit hole we're diving into.
Yeah,
here.
so
The
we'll start.
grandma, granddad, grandparents.
Your the grandparent rabbit hole usually starts in your 50s or 60s. Usually,
Wow.
usually you are in your 40s, sir. Correct?
Wow.
Or are you 30s?
Am I? No, I'm in my 40s.
You're in your 40s.
Yes.
So starting a little early for you, being such a young grandfather, are you the kind of grandfather, sir, that likes to babysit the baby? Are you, or when the
I would
call
like
comes
to.
when the call comes in, or is the first off, does the call ever come? Is this the first grandbaby?
Yes.
Okay, so this
And-
is your first one. So we haven't gotten to that calls yet. What I'm
Yes.
saying is there expected calls that maybe could be coming in?
I would
Potentially?
hope so. I would babysit in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Yes.
For
I would
that
drop
sweet-
plans
You would
for my... Yes.
with a smoking hot woman.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, I don't get to watch my granddaughter all the time. So, because everybody wants to watch her. So, if I had my chance, I would drop whatever. And I would watch.
Now, how long is the baby? How old is the baby? How long? Is
Right now, she's a month and a half.
month and a half old. So
Right.
other people, you haven't even taken a SWAT. You haven't even made a phone call and been like, hey, why don't you bring that
I
baby
go by
on
there.
over?
I've dropped off by. I see her. But the babysitting thing, I'm like one of, there's a line.
Oh, don't worry.
It's
don't
like
worry.
take a ticket.
Once he doesn't. Once they become mobile, bro, as you know, as a father, once they become mobile, you understand how this game changes, right?
Right.
Like, it's I need somebody to watch this kid now. Like,
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. Cool.
So, all right. Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's going on in your life. Jay Call, what's going on with you, sir?
Not much. Just, not taking the fifth.
Not taking the fifth.
taking the
Well,
fifth.
I'm glad that
You would never do that. I would
No
never
reason to do that, right?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, for the last few weeks, I've been dealing with my own personal health issues.
That's right.
And once we got past the what I like to call, it was almost the pearly gates, but didn't quite get there. Once we get past that to that silver lining, you know what I'm saying? We're able to get back up and make some moves like we are doing right now, and that's why you have another wonderful episode of The Q. But thank you to all the well wishes of people who told me and that they were hoping that I'd get better and things were going to go well for me. I appreciate that. Jay, you made a great point. You brought up a great thing. A lot of things have happened in the last few weeks. Our friend Michael Sinclair, who was a guest on the show just a few weeks ago, now has an opponent. Nick Schroer is his opponent. He's going to be taking on him, and I'm sure we'll talk to Michael again before the election at some point. Also, going with all of that, our boy Trump. Our boy, we've had some rumblings of some problems and some issues. We've had two things happen, ladies and gentlemen.
The hornet's nest is stirred.
The hornet's nest is definitely stirred. We have been heavily barraged. Jay, have you on Twitter? Have you been heavily barraged by the morons?
Oh, yeah.
Who are crazy about the world needs to come to an end right now. Like this is out of control.
Get out the moron umbrella.
Donald,
suddenly they want to defund law enforcement.
They want to defund law enforcement. Our friend Donald J. Trump, former president of the United States, 45, as he likes to be known as. He likes to walk around with his 45 hat on sometimes.
He's got one of those.
Right.
He's just got a hat for just about everything, right? Every saying and everything. He's just got a hat for it. He's constantly rocking.
Red.
And those hats look like something you'd have made like
for a 74-year-old grandfather. Yeah.
Like you would have it made like at a store on a boardwalk.
Well,
Silver Dollar City, of course. Yeah.
They don't look professional.
Yeah, or like your grandma sewed it up because she's like, I can make you a hat. Don't buy one.
Like
you know what I mean?
Like a cricket.
Yeah, like it's a terrible shape
so
to
awful.
it. It's like, wow, that's a terrible hat. What'd you pay? Like $5 for that thing? It's like nothing.
Maybe.
And I like the little string in front of it too. What's that?
So Trump was, how should I say this? To many people who have been following the Donald Trump saga for many a year now, gloriously rated.
The saga.
It is a saga at this point. I mean, I want to say that we're hedging bets on that, but it's a saga at this point. It really is. Listen, this whole situation is a made-for-TV movie ready to happen. Like I know that they will try to take it and turn it into this big. At some point, someone will try to Trump the movie. Like it's just going to be called Trump, right? Well, and it's going to be like whatever actor that year plays him is going to get the Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. You know, it's just going to be one of those things, and it'll happen. It'll happen within the next 20 years,
right? As much as I hate the guy, he did brand the heck out of himself for not just our generation but history. I mean, he did that. I'll hand it to him. I mean, he is going to be in some history books. Man.
Okay, let's go down a road. I don't think that anybody looks at Donald J. Trump as a promoter of any sort.
Of himself? Absolutely.
But I was just getting ready to say, Mike, that of himself and the promotion, as you just stated, how it's put him on the mark, on the map for history.
Right.
Is it willing for us to go down a path where we might be suggesting he could be on the same level as a P.T. Barnum?
Yes.
Would we say that Donald Trump is equal to Vince McMahon and P.T. Barnum? Like at the same level? Because I think Vince and P.T. are definitely on the same level because worldwide they were known at one point.
Maybe
for sure on promotions.
Maybe what they're doing promotion wise, but I'm talking history.
Right. Well, so no. I'm saying those guys. P.T. Barnum's in history, but P.T. Barnum's in history already.
Vince McMahon is current.
But
but he'll be also history, and everybody will know of him for history.
History plays out in odd ways, man.
You know, McMahon, he promoted himself and made himself out to be the butt of the joke on purpose.
Sure.
Trump did it on accident. He's promoted. The
always
most
does
successful
it on accident.
promotion of himself is that he's a joke. People laugh at him. They poke fun at him. People poke fun and laugh at McMahon because he did it on purpose during Raws.
Well, that's true.
Stone
My
Cold,
only point is
beat him
that
up and
he
all
will
that.
go down in history because he is one of the presidents. There's not a ton of those. And because of the bombling, you know, what we're doing right now.
The bombastic.
Football, going through all these. Even if your argument of this is all political is true, it still goes down in history. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's all political. I think this guy really does have issues. And like I told somebody the other day, they argue like, oh, well, this is all made up. Listen, it wasn't his helpers or his assistants or any of his board or any of those. It was not the first, not the second. It was the third, because the first and second of all of his assistants, they resigned.
Yeah,
they quit. Yeah. They left. So it was the third people saying, this guy did this. He did this. He did this. And these aren't just like one or two people like, oh, I don't know if these are credible. It's a ton, and they're sticking their neck out to say this guy did this, and everybody goes, it's baloney. Man, you just might be brainwashed.
You might think this is funny, but guys, when you mix this with the Alex Jones stuff, Alex Jones about to bring down the deep state, literally. Like, literally. Because what's getting ready to happen with these text messages that will tie back into January 6th, that will literally just imprint that piece to the Trump, now with the raid and the FBI involved with, like, it is now becoming this entangled web of just craziness that is about ready to literally. But think about it. Of all the people who are going to bring the deep state down, it's Alex Jones. Like, the one guy who always kept claiming that there was one that existed, he's literally bringing it down like, it's crazy.
And you say Alex Jones, but you know what's scary to me? You want to hear what's in my head is I compare him a lot of times to Hitler, to be honest, because look at the authoritarianism.
Authoritarianism.
There it is. Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's a playbook, and he's doing the same thing. And actually, this is what happened to Hitler. He lost, and he was out for a period, and in the background doing the same stuff, and came back stronger than ever, and created Nazi Germany. So that's what plays in my head. And you can call me crazy, man, but that's exactly what happened with Hitler. History is
so what you're saying.
Very similar.
So what you're saying, and there is
very similar
cliches like history tends to repeat itself.
Right.
Those are cliches, but every cliche is based in truth. And here's the thing. I don't think that you're far off, Mike, in the idea. I'm not saying that that's where we're right now or where we're going.
I mean, there's always
that path
only
is
one
still open.
But the fact that I could totally see what you're saying happening. I could see the whole Hitler lost, falls off the chariot, then he comes back, we kill it, we take out the president. But see, the difference between Hitler and Trump is Trump would be elected back in by the people. The people might be willing to elect Trump back in. There's just enough, and we have just enough democracy still in control of itself to whereas Hitler had to have the right killed and all this to attain his secondary sets of power, which led to World War II and everything that comes after that.
It's very similar. They had two parties there.
But my point, you're right. The idea that this coming back stronger, like a phoenix out of the fire, coming back stronger the second time, I totally can see that.
Well, he definitely used the same playbook as the Third Reich with misinformation.
And discredit the media.
Yeah, put that down. I'm your only one that can help you.
I'm the only one that's credible.
It's very similar. The playbook. I mean, there's only one Hitler. But there's many people who try to use the roadmap to power.
It controls people, man. People are able to be controlled. Whether we like it or not, you can say things that trigger things in people's brain. And that's exactly what he's doing.
In 2002, did you see a bunch of people walking around with George Bush T-shirts and hats and flags on their vehicles?
No. Hats, but, shirts, but definitely not flags.
Not the flags and all the craziness.
Caravan. And I want you to know that I don't care. I want you to be uncomfortable that I like Trump. I want to spread the uncomfortableness.
Isn't that weird? I want you to be uncomfortable that I like something. And it's like, why do you want people to be fearful of you at all for any reason? Like, why floating that vibe out? Has it ever worked with you? Think about this. All these people who do this, they've had people float that vibe at them in the past. And I guarantee you at some point in their life, they turned it down heavily. And they were like, no, I don't want that. And it's like they can't tap back into understanding how they felt when that was the case. I don't understand why they can't, but they can't for some reason.
A very short view.
Well, he's got a group of people that don't know how the world works, how the United States government works and things work.
Because they're not going to watch the news. They're not going to learn. They're not going to hear anything else but what he says.
The search warrant was performed by people who take their jobs responsibly. Yeah, they take their job seriously. They're not, and the reason why Trump people think there's something nefarious going on is because they don't. Yeah. They don't take their job seriously. They would do this. The congressmen on the right, they would use their power to do this. These people, this judge that signed the warrant, Merrick Garland, Chris Wray, the head of the FBI, they take their job seriously. This is not a joke. They're not doing it because they doesn't want Donald Trump to be president. They're doing it because they don't want him to have classified information because they don't trust him. And he's not giving it back. They've asked for it, and they're not giving it back. That's why they went in with the FBI and raided the compound to get it.
Well, guys, for anybody out there that was wondering what happened with this FBI raid, let's just go to... Listen, if there's one person that Donald Trump will endorse, it's Eric. He will endorse Eric all the time. And if there is one person who's going to give us the most correct information about a raid, it will be a guy named Eric. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, if I would be so bold as to present to you what Eric Trump has told us happened with the 30 agents when he refused to hand over the warrants. That's right. Kicked lawyers off the property, rifled through clothes. And how the Mar-a-Lago staff refused to turn off the security cameras. That's right. That's right. Eric Trump recounted the Monday raid of his father's Mar-a-Lago residence in an exclusive interview. He said that they kicked Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, off the property and made her wait at the end of the driveway during the raid. Well, I feel like this is a very typical, like, people who are not involved directly with said, like, the lawyer wants to always feel indignant, like you're standing on rights, and it's like not every time, guys. Like sometimes it's for safety reasons. Also,
we were treated like common folk.
Exactly. That's Christina Bobb. Common folk down here on the plantation, down here on the plantation in the South. In the South.
Can you imagine what his lawyer's like now? All the lawyers he's been through. The only people he can get to represent him have to be just complete clowns.
I know.
They're complete clowns. Absolute clowns. Yeah. Eric also said that the FBI agents refused to hand over a copy of the search warrant during the operation. I find that weird.
That's not true.
I don't. I find it like...
They might not even be required to, because I have seen...
But I will say this, guys. The Secret Service is the Secret Service. And he has... 2 assigned Secret Service agents around him at all times. If a warrant is served on the property, trust me, his 2 Secret Service agents were either notified
they knew.
Or they literally were the first 2 people to take a look and make sure that this was legit before they let anyone near.
Before they went in, the FBI contacted the Secret Service and told them they were coming. They were on the
way.
He wasn't there.
Right.
Trump was in Bedminster or whatever that is, New Jersey or New York, one of those 2.
The former president's son also said, contrary to FBI direction, they refused to turn the security cameras off at the Palm Beach estate. So they were flashing their peacock.
Gutsy, man. Wow.
Like Marky Mark said, they were peacocking.
Oh, whatever. Who cares? Video it. They're just looking for info, man.
So weird. They're just weird. They lie and lie and lie
and make stuff up.
But here's the best part. He called the raid another coordinated attack on his father and insisted there's no way President Joe Biden was kept in the dark about the search. Now, first off, the FBI is a separate entity of the United States government from the president of the United States. They do work in tandem quite often. And I'm literally sure, I am absolutely sure, that in some form or fashion, someone in the president's circle or around it knew that this was getting ready to happen. Like, there's no, listen, they're not going to let another president of the United States get talked to or touched without telling the current president of the United States it's getting ready to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't care who the president was. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. At least in my mind, from what I know and what I've seen, there's no way they're going to do it. They're just not going to do it. They're going to make sure that someone in the president's circle knows what's going on. Now, they might not have told Joe Biden. They might not have told Joe Biden. They might have just told them within hours before it happened or whatever like that, and they just weren't able to relay the information. Doesn't matter. The point is the FBI has their own job they're going to do.
100%. There's no way they told anybody because they're coming to get documents. If they tell somebody, then they could throw them away. They could burn them. They could rip them up.
Now, that's a good point. I just feel like at that high level of the game, I feel like that there's probably, like I said, someone is alerted. There has to be.
I'm not sure if they were, but I can say this. Am I wrong? Because I've watched the news here, and I thought this was a secondary raid. Like, they didn't get all the information the first time.
They came in
they
June
came back.
to meet with them,
right?
To get the
information,
to have them turned over.
Yeah, and they got information then.
So my guess is they
hid things from them, and they
found
back.
out they found out that they were lied to,
right? And they came back for more information.
We have to go get them because if we don't, they're going to destroy.
And you
them.
might be right. They didn't want to alert them they were coming because then you can hide that information elsewhere or destroy it.
Trump could tell everyone what they took because they were given on a search warrant. You're given the affidavit that says we're coming in. Then when they leave, they give you an inventory list. This is what we took from
Some
you.
states don't require
but
you
this was
to
a federal
give
raid,
you. I understand, but it'll be posted and blah blah blah. They have it all approved from a judge, so they don't give two issues.
So he could say what they took.
They
won't have names because they're classified.
The affidavit supporting the documentation of what the probable cause was to obtain the warrant has been sealed. So, no one knows.
Well, that won't be open until
at
charges
all.
are filed.
Right. This is high-level stuff.
No one knows at all. But here's the thing. What I have, my problem is I've been getting hit up by my conservative friends. Not bad people, good people.
Yes.
Just want to have a conversation. And a lot of them are just in this, I don't care, it's illegal, and it has to be this way. And I go, when is it going to be a situation of let's find out what they went after? Like, everybody wants to say it's a political this, political that. And Eric has obviously shown here that he said that it was a political hit job. Yeah. They're coming after his father again. So everybody's trying to turn it into politics. But if they have a search warrant for a specific piece of evidence or a specific thing, and they found it in the residence, then it had nothing to do with politics. It literally had everything to do with the piece of evidence, which is an actual thing that they can hold intangible. It wasn't like they came there, sat President Trump down for 2 hours, pointed at him and said, we don't like your politics. You're a bad man.
Right.
Like, that's not what happened.
You think it's easy to get a subpoena, a warrant, all these things on an ex-president? You think that's easy?
Right.
You know what a federal judge has to stick his neck out on this.
Guys, Mike just said it. A federal judge has to stick his neck out. Listen, I'm a federal judge. Never in the history of our country has a judge applied for a warrant to search a residence of a president. Ever. I am literally a federal judge at the highest level where I can sign off on this. Right. So I know who we're talking about. I know what it means. And I understand even the political reverberations that are going to happen as soon as this is done. Because guess what? The director of the FBI is telling me in my ear what's going on. I got this person over here telling me what's going on. And we're all on the same page. This is going to make some shockwaves.
And you don't think there's solid reason to go in there?
If he didn't think there was solid reason and he signed off on a warrant for BS, he deserves to lose his job.
Right. And that's the thing.
But there's no way he signed off on that without knowing 100% that he knew, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, he was ready to roll on that.
And if you believe that, then you don't, and if you believe that none of that stuff is credible, then you're saying you don't believe in the federal judges, you don't believe in the FBI, you don't believe in the CIA, you don't believe in the Secret Service, you don't believe in any of those groups over Trump,
Mike,
which is ridiculous.
The beauty of this is that we're watching, as we were talking about Alex Jones, the deep state, all that BS, the conspiracy stuff, right? All this stuff that they love to bury themselves in on a daily basis is starting to crumble at all the edges. Right. The walls are starting to come down.
People are starting to get suspicious.
People are starting to notice. We've got Alex Jones and all these documentations where he lied on purpose about things where conspiracy were involved.
Right. And
he's tied very heavily to January 6th and that whole InfoWars, that whole conspiratorial Oath Keepers. He's tied in deep with that. Now on top of this, you've got Donald Trump's house getting raided. That's the president was tied to all these people for all this January. Like I said, the web's getting deeper and the walls are starting to crumble on their theories. Yeah, that's the problem. The theories were always just that. Theories. They were never propped up by anything of value.
That's all.
It was never he's God, he's a great man, they're lying about him because honest people are honest.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
And it holds up. Honesty holds up.
True honest people are honest. Okay? That's all there is to it. Listen, you got to kill a good man. You got to kill a good man. You don't have to kill a bad man. They'll kill themselves. You got to kill a good man. That's just how it works. And so, like,
Trump's killing himself.
He's killing himself, guys.
Right. Those lies only last so long.
Well, and they've had their moment. January 6th, they could have showed up and testified. They didn't. They took the 5th, or they refused to talk.
Right.
Donald Trump had his moment to testify in front of the New York Attorney General to tell her his side.
Right.
Took the 5th.
Also, guys, like you said earlier, they have come there before to ask about these records at Mar-a-Lago. Like, this is not the first time they've come and asked about the records.
Right.
So this idea that they're like, they don't understand or they can't, obviously they hadn't moved the records, but here's the thing. Let's say the FBI did go in and raid the house and there was nothing that comes from it. Guys, that's just egg on everyone's face. That's going to be egg on the FBI's face. That's going to be egg on Biden's face. That's going to be egg on every single person in the government's face.
Well, and it
also might lead to an uptick in Republican votes.
Maybe
come November.
It could
for this
what also could happen is they go there, they get the evidence they want, they get the stuff that they want, they get the answers that they want. It's presented to Congress, and guess what happens? Nothing. I mean, that could legitimately happen. They could legitimately find what they're looking for, and nothing happens because our Congress is pretty much dead in the water. They don't go anywhere.
I guarantee he killed all momentum he had for this raid by pleading the 5th when he was called to testify. He just killed the momentum. Because
and that's the other thing.
You cannot explain that away without being guilty.
And
I'm sorry.
That's the second story that's been going on. We talked about the raid, but we also have this deposition. A deposition where Donald Trump is being questioned by the Southern District of New York currently. Or is it Southern? I thought it was Southern District.
Attorney General.
I thought it was in regards to that Southern District stuff.
No, it's a civil
I could be
case.
wrong.
It's a civil case.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Civil case. Civil case.
Which he screwed himself because in a civil case, pleading the 5th can be used against you.
And here's the thing, guys. Donald Trump famously went onto a pulpit during a campaign stop, and he told everybody that if you plead the 5th, basically
you're guilty.
You're guilty.
And you're only
mobsters plead the 5th.
Yeah.
If you plead the 5th, you're guilty. Basically, is what he said. And now here we are, a few years later. This man is in this position where he's got depositions and he's got to tell the truth, and he pleads the 5th on every single question. Now,
how dare you use his own words against him, Mark?
How
dare you?
Good point, Mike, and I'm thank you for bringing that up. No, my point being simply,
I didn't mean it,
Don. I don't understand where the value in pleading the 5th is because everyone. First off, no one's surprised that you pled the 5th.
No.
There's zero surprise. I think that he thought that in maybe somebody's mind it was going to be like, this president pled the 5th.
The Trump supporters are surprised.
Right. He pled the 5th. And this was expected. But it's just weird for you after having seen what you said at that campaign stop and your belief and the way that you've presented this, the optics of it in the media and to everybody around the world from your own mouth, by the way. This is not optics that were presented where they spun your stuff around, okay? These optics make you look horrible. They make you look like you have zero case. You're completely guilty. If I was a federal judge in this presiding over this, I'd be like, wait, he pled the 5th on all this stuff. Now, the beauty of pleading the 5th is it does protect your words. They can't use them against you. They can't say that you admitted to guilt.
And that's what he's claiming.
And that's fine because
in a civil case they can.
I understand.
Yeah, they can say he pled the 5th. So they will instruct the jury. They've pled the 5th. You can use that as your idea of guilt. Do you think they're guilty because they did that? In a criminal case, you can't. You could say, I plead the 5th, and they could say, he pled the 5th for 1,000 reasons, and you can't use it against them. Civil case, they can. The jury can use that and decide, I think he's guilty of this.
I'll be danged.
And that's why what he would have said has to be so much worse than pleading the 5th on this case.
In this next
it would have
election,
made this case so much worse.
Do you think it would be bad or good for him to be in the next election? Because I
think it would be great because he'll lose.
That's what Biden said. But at the same time, man, I'm not the biggest fan of Biden. I wish somebody else would run.
Someone needs to run just because the age factor.
Right. And Donald is old too. They're both
Trump's
old.
Too.
I'm tired of all these old
guys.
We need younger
Listen. Just give it some time. Let's get through this midterm, and I guarantee you, by spring or summer of next year, you're already going to start to see those young candidates. Like Andrew Yang thinks, I don't like Andrew Yang. Who cares? He's a joke. But my point being, he thinks that he's got some chance again. And it's no, you have zero chance. Stop.
Did you see him trying to play, get a little
I appreciate
Trump
him thinking outside the box.
As I've explained famously on this show many a time before, I do feel that we will get at some point a yes or no, even if it's just to say whether he will or won't run. Paul Ryan will either jump in or say, now, that might not be your best solution or the person you feel, if they were a Republican and they were young, you'd be willing to maybe vote for. But that idea of that younger blood coming into the race, those people showing out a little bit more, I think that that's going to happen. I do feel that Trump, in some form or fashion, I don't know whether directly attempting to, because he still hasn't announced that he's running for a campaign of any sort.
Someone's going to tell him if he should announce, because then they can't arrest him, and that's not true. So
right, that's stupid too.
But he'll do it. He'll think it.
He'll think it. He'll think it. It's true. But
if everybody's talking and he believes it, that's what the whole group believes. Is whatever the jargon is, they believe it. It's
what were we
that
talking
doesn't
about?
make
I'm
it
sorry. I just forgot for a second.
Who might run?
Right. Yeah, Paul Ryan is definitely there. I do feel like you got some young candidates that could pop up.
Right. There has to be
out
some,
of the liberal side of things.
I
just did not exact. It's probably a Kamala. It could be a Kamala.
What about the Democratic side? Well, the Kamala's not going to win.
She's
unfortunately.
Guys, I really feel like Joe is probably going to call it one and done. I know that he thinks, and I know that everybody keeps telling him, listen, you don't have to announce or say anything until we get to 2024. Until 2024, you don't have to say that you are running or not running. You don't have to say nothing. Now, to people behind the scenes, let us know what your plans are. But for the most part, you don't have to announce anything. That way, as other people need him for campaign or this or that, the idea is still floating out there. Joe Biden might run for re-election.
Right.
But he could literally come out springtime of 2024 and go, guys, I'm not planning on running for president of the United States again. I'm going to be a one and done.
I really expect it too, and it's surprising because my roommate, the guy that's renting a room off me currently, he is a big fan of Trump, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I get along with him. He's a great guy, but I don't agree with his political stuff. He likes Trump. I don't see how you can support Trump after hearing all these dispositions against him. But anyways, he likes him, and he showed me this video of Biden, and it really is odd. And it's a news report, and it's not it's not.
There's a lot of edited videos.
That's what he's saying. He's saying the news report is actually edited to make his eyes more open. Because if you look at a normal Biden, his eyes are really squinty. They're very squinty.
Yes,
but in this news report,
I understand exactly what you're saying.
But he was giving look at his whatever his last speech was, his big speech. His eyes are more open. They look like they're
right. But that's one speech. Here's the thing.
Maybe he's got a.
I love when they do this.
Told him open your eyes more.
I think they doctored it.
It's literally constantly video footage being taken of presidents from every single angle all the time at all these different events and stuff like that. Just because one thing has.
He didn't blink for 45 seconds.
So my point being is I understand that everybody wants this to be real. I know that they do. But no one except for weird basement troll Republican conservative incel type people are sitting there with enough time in a video editing program on their computer to learn it well enough to go, I'm going to take this one video clip of this one spot. And it's one place, and I'm going to make his eyes look wider than they are.
No, he's saying that the media itself did it. But
right.
Just to project him more aware than what he is.
If you remember,
but with that being said,
why would Fox go on?
Now we know, but here's the thing.
Why would OAN
famously
bad health? Bad health.
Famously, let me put this out there. You're 100% correct. There are people that are willing to take media, doctor it up so that everything's the same across the board and make it look like a certain way for people.
Right.
Famously, it was conservative Fox TV stations that were all reading the exact same script shortly after the election.
Oh, totally.
Every single one of them was reading the exact same script.
Dude, that's
and that's okay. I understand what syndicated writing and script,
that's the bias
but that was
of Fox.
only Fox news stations that were doing it. No other news stations read this exact same script at all. Only Fox ones, and it was because it was dictated from the top down to them directly for their viewers and their people.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, there are conservatives who would get their homes raided that are very guilty of doing these doctor-type things.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
None of them are considered liberal, ever. So you have nothing to worry about, Mike.
Right.
But yes,
I'm just saying.
I totally believe your friend who loves Trump knows this for a fact.
I'm not saying no. I rebutted against it. I argued against it. But with that being said, it was pretty compelling. It's like, is that the original news report? And he's saying it was. And then we looked at and it looked like his eyes were. I mean, the original news report from MSNBC and all the other ones, they all were the same. I was like, wow, it does really look like his eyes are
changed
open.
the lighting in the room. I mean, maybe if he's giving a speech and there's
just
bright
look
lights.
at it. Just look at a video. Check it out. I mean, it is odd. I mean, it really is. And I'm just saying, my only point of the whole rant there is that the man's in bad health, and I don't expect
bad health.
Yes,
he jogs. He rides a bike. Look at Trump.
Are you kidding me? He crashes a bike.
He still rides it.
He
He's
can barely
80 years
have a
old.
conversation.
He rides a bike. He jogs.
He is 80 years old. Good point.
He jogs.
Good point. He's
Trump's
80 years old.
80 years old.
Trump's
Let's give him
a
credit.
fat piece of crap.
And when he's
no one
done,
says he's in bad
when
health.
he's done with his second term, he'll be 86. And there's a big difference between 80 and 86.
Well, guys, that's why I said just give it some time. Your younger opponents will pop up into the election, and I'm sure you'll find at least one or two people that you can love, or at least appreciate a little bit more.
I'm still on the belief that by 2024, with all the stress, the January 6th stuff, Georgia, what he's got going on now with the warrant, with the state attorney in New York, Trump's going to die.
You feel like this guy's going to kill over.
I thought you were going to say Biden.
Have you seen
This is
him?
another reason why we shouldn't have old guys.
Did you see him
Let's
during
get some younger
during that
blood in
live
there.
tournament where he took the Saudi money? He's pale. He's huge.
Oh,
he looks
he?
terrible.
Oh, yeah? Too many cannolis.
Well, the dude weighs 300 pounds and he's near 80. That's just not a good.
Heck of a
That's
golf
not a good
game,
look.
though, I bet. He can play a heck of a golf game.
Got a handicap.
He's
Let's
a
just
cheater.
say.
He got in there and he hardly even played golf when he was president. You remember?
Guys,
Remember that? Where he barely played golf, like he said?
we
Right?
have to talk about something else.
I remember he said that. He
We
played
have to
literally
talk-
every weekend.
We have to move on. We have to talk about something else. Very important, gentlemen.
All right.
I was alerted to a trend of canceling recently.
Nice.
That has
Cancel stuff.
It's really opened my
It's
eyes.
cancel culture.
The new cancelable thing. Canceling. The new thing to cancel, let's just say that, is from the lovely people and fans of Stranger Things and young people around the world who are fans of Stranger Things. There is in the final season, or not the final season, the last season, this newest season that just came out. There's a scene in the show where a Metallica song is played.
That's right.
And the fans of Stranger Things have now been alerted on TikTok of all places, because all the great alerts of our society now happen on the TikToks.
Calling all TikTokers.
All TikTokers. But hey, listen. It has gained enough popularity that people have got it trending everywhere. They're all talking about it. So I think it's something that's worth our talking about. The band Metallica has been accused of being racist in their past. And because of that racism being brought to attention by a young TikToker, now all the young people who are fans of Stranger Things now feel that Metallica needs to be canceled.
How are they racist?
And, they do have quite a few, like the TikTok video that shows this, shows a few video clips of different pieces of shows throughout the years from the past where they're saying the N-word.
Oh, okay.
There's them hiking like the Hitler with their hands out, with the the whole the Heil Hitler, doing that.
Is it a video or a picture? I mean,
no.
Well,
it's video evidence. Video evidence.
Like it's a video. It's video. No, it's Lars. It's Lars just doing Lars.
Well, he's not even.
Lars is crazy.
I'm sure Metallica has a large fan base, just like Pantera and so forth, that are. This is
racist.
This has been
Pantera got Confederate
This has been something that they've been accused of before.
That's weird.
They even played an MTV clip from the MTV News back in like the 90s, like the early 90s, talking about how they were once kicked out of a situation involving Guns N' Roses because of racism, Metallica. So, yeah, like it's an actual MTV News clip from back in like 91. Like, it's crazy.
Well, you can't get away with that stuff nowadays.
They were asked to leave a tour for it. Probably a quiet thing behind the scenes. But by the way, dude, 1991, it wasn't like you had your cell phone in your pocket to check your it's 91.
So here's a question, though, and I'm not saying this is a bad
thing,
but who's researching this stuff?
Well,
who's finding these findings?
Listen. Young people have time. My kids are on their tablets all the time. Your kids are on their tablets.
So they find a nugget and they get uproar.
They find a reason to go do something, and then they'll compile it and create their video.
Isn't that crazy?
And they'll just upload it. It's that simple.
From 12 years old. When I was 12 years old to now, almost 49.
You were never 12 years old.
I was.
Maybe you were.
Well, now that I'm almost 49, I have never heard this ever. I've listened to Metallica literally.
Me either.
90% of my life.
I've never heard this either. I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it's not true.
No. Listen. I'm not going to say that it's not true. I know that these clips.
I've never heard it.
These clips are very damaging. I will say that they do, when compiled together, do show that there has been a historical, not just a one-time thing, like a historical over many time periods, different video footages, like different grains and everything.
They can cancel Metallica. I don't care. They're terrible.
What I wanted to say, well, this is important, though, why we're having this conversation, because I need to say something about this. I feel like this is going to be a difficult one because it's the way that you ingest a song or a group for the first time and how you're introduced to their music each time after that, that usually kind of predicates and dictates how they lay in your life. So if they come under extensive purposes in the first place, it's obvious that they're probably like a, what's the group that's always over in Russia getting jailed all the time? Faster Pussycat or something like that, Nashville Pussy Pussy Riot. Okay, when you come through the World Order clash, right? Like they just pissed off the Queen of England, and the whole world's talking about it. Okay, when we find out about you that way, then we already know off the top you're kind of coming in with a little bit of a Kesha aspect, early Kesha, a little brush your teeth with some Jack in the Morning type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. Like I see where you're coming from. Metallica, though, for the majority of people who are fans of Metallica, they did what we like to argue about in the world of music, sell out at one point, to the point where they became mainstream.
Yeah,
Once they became mainstream, their songs were getting
all
played.
About money.
They were getting played, though, on regular rock radio stations. They were getting played in a lot of different places, a lot of people's homes because of the Black Album. I'm not talking about the Ride the Lightning years, where some of these video clips probably came from. I'm just saying those years existed, but it was the Black years and everything after, which is what really made Metallica the superstars they are today. And so, like, since most people ingested them in a very mainstream, a very, like, docile way, for the most part, right? Enter Sandman is a pretty tame song compared to Master of Puppets.
Right.
So, like, even though it's heavy, it's just tame in comparison. So these guys have heavier stuff. They just became a little bit softer with their stylings, and then that was, like, shown through the popularity of their music. Okay, great. But we're never going to associate racism with Metallica, young people.
Well,
and the reason why is because of what I just said. The mainstream, like, because our typical mainstream music, Charlie Puth, whoever you want to say the artist is, it doesn't matter. Who's the one you were talking about? Dwayne Allman or the Allman Brothers, like, or Midnight Rider.
That's
where
that's what I'm
saying. Like, if you
that rabbit hole could go very deep for a lot of old bands,
but
because it was a different world back then. My parents whenever I was growing up, then they said things that were very racial. They grew up in a different time, and that's not how I live. That's not how I teach my kids. But if you go back to that time, it was my parents' time and all younger people's time. It was a different time, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that rabbit hole could go very deep.
When I say perfectly acceptable, I'm saying for that time period. I'm not saying perfectly acceptable in general. But to get back to my main point, which was, Mike, the fact that whether it's Midnight Rider or this Beatles song or a Metallica song comes to you, if it comes through the mainstream, that's usually our most inoffensive and most docile groupings, right? Everything we associate with mainstream music has nothing to do with racism ever. Whether it's a Snoop Dogg song, an Eminem song, Happy Birthday, or anything else, it's mainstream. So I never, listen, I'm sure there are nursery rhymes out there. We've talked about them on the show
London
before.
Bridges. There's a ton of them
that are
meanings.
very racist and very mean meanings and backgrounds to them. And guess what? Nobody ever associates it because of the way that you're introduced to them. If you're introduced to a song of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star at 2 years old, and we come to find out it's under racist tendencies that this song was developed in the first place, which is not true. I'm just saying, when you're introduced to it at 2, that's going to be how you learn it. You ingest it. And so now there's nothing racist about that. There's nothing racist about this. So Metallica guys, even if they might be themselves as individual people, having some racist in some form or fashion, the mainstream is not going to join you on this crusade to cancel Metallica. It's just not going to happen.
Here's how the culture works.
That doesn't mean they were right for doing it by any means.
And they might be racist, like you said. Individually, they might be racist, and maybe they deserve to be pulled off something. I don't know. But that is how the culture works today. We are driven by the tail wags the dog. I mean, it's not really the majority that has to run anything. It's just the noisiest group over to the far left or far right. You know what I mean?
You could go back and cancel
everybody
anyone.
focus on the noise to the far outside. I mean, and it really isn't the majority that makes things happen anymore. I mean, look at Disney or a lot of corporations. They don't make decisions anymore based on majority decisions. It's more like we want to appeal to this group or so forth. It's a tail wagging the dog. It's not majority rule quote unquote majority rule anymore, in my opinion.
The Beatles literally have a song where John Lennon says he's going to kill this girl if she leaves him. The song "Run for Your Life."
Yeah,
he says, "I'd rather see you
by,
dead, little
was
girl."
it Neil Diamond or whatever, about a 14-year-old or something?
Sure. I mean, you go deep enough, you can get rid of everybody.
We could just go out
Girl.
That's crazy. I've never.
Wait, hold on.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go on a witch hunt. Just take everybody down.
Girl.
Fill the jails.
You'll be a woman soon.
Soon, yeah.
Eventually, not right now though. You're a girl.
Right.
You are a young girl.
Let's do
15 years old, and I am 31.
He needs to go down. Let's get a list.
Like, that's crazy.
We're taking some guys down.
But anyway,
what the heck?
My point being, I feel like this canceling. I feel like canceling's fine if you're doing it for the right reason. I'm like, everybody's like, canceling is just stupid across the board. Guys, we cancel things all the time. We cancel friendships. We cancel relationships. We cancel bills and cable. We cancel
TV shows.
Especially cable.
But I understand what you're saying. Once again, the same problem me and Mike were talking about off the air, Republicans and conservatives mostly are the ones who whine about this the most. It's perspective. It's where you grew up. It's how you grew up. It's how you ingest things. Everybody's a little different. Yes, New York City is going to be very liberal. San Francisco's very liberal compared to St. Louis. Yes, St. Louis. Yes, you're not Chicago. Yes, they're very liberal. You're not. I get it. That's fine. They're also a different thing. They're a massive city with 8 to 10 million people. You're just a smaller city with 3 million people in it. A lot of people live in the rurals or in the outskirts. We are a commuter city. We drive into the city for everything we want to do. So, like, we all live out in the outskirts, in the rurals. So everybody out here has a very rural mindset. It's okay for you to have misstepped, to have gone down the wrong path. We get this. We understand. It's this complete, weird, over-the-top, irrational approach, as we talked about earlier with the way they're approaching, the way the president was rated. It's not about the evidence. It's a political witch hunt. Everything like Mike was talking, is a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. Jason, we've seen these witch hunts over and over. We've seen these witch hunts over and over. are these witch hunts or are these people legitimately? Because in this case, I understand Metallica did. The clips are there. They did do or say these things. Like, it's obvious that it happened. There are news stories of the past where other groups were on tour with them and told them to leave or get away from a situation because of their racism. These are true stories. So, and these are things we can't go back in time and change. We have no time machines. We have to take it for the merit that it's worth. But I see it being a lot more difficult to take down a Metallica.
It could be a witch hunt, or it could, if
it was a solo artist, would it be easier? Like, Metallica's a band. What if it was Ozzy by himself? Just Ozzy.
I don't know.
Take
about
down
that.
Ozzy and cancel Ozzy.
Even
Ozzy's
Metallica
a tough
fans
one.
don't.
I'm just using Ozzy as an example, by the way. He's not racist.
Ozzy would be a tough one, but at the same
Poor
time,
Ozzy's getting called a racist by some dude in St. Louis.
At the same time, we say this, but at the same time, we say, we can't take him down because of this. But it's a witch hunt, this and that.
But there should be accountability.
At the same time, you got to look at it from you got to have empathy and look at it from other people's point of view. Maybe this person that has this witch hunt, quote unquote, is really looking at it like this is a crusade to fix the wrongs they see in life. You know what I'm saying? So in our point of view, it's like, what? Man, Metallica's.
But would anyone pull that out of a TV show off Netflix, though? Would they? Would anybody pull that up?
Have they?
Well, no. I don't think that they brought it up or talked about it or like the TikTok just came out a couple days ago and it's blowing up slowly.
Saying the N-word, that's hard to excuse and that's hard to explain. But like the pretending to Nazi salutes. Who knows how? Maybe people in the crowd were being jerks, and he was.
Well, maybe there was Nazis mocking in the crowd.
Them, heavy metal making fun of them. This is you. Groups, there's so many other reasons.
Guys, I know people of all kinds of ethnicities that have done Hitler salutes in front of me, joking around at a party, and I'm talking about black men, Hispanic guys. White dudes, all of them. I've seen this at parties in my past. Like, literally, just go to a Halloween party back in the day.
And sometimes
my brother literally dressed up as Osama bin Laden before, because remember, we didn't catch him for like 10 years.
Right.
Okay, he dressed up as Osama bin Laden with a noose, as a Muslim, with a bullet through his head.
Who called Osama bin Laden? Who was it? It was
Obama.
It was Trump, right?
Osama bin Obama. Osama bin Obama.
It couldn't have been Obama because he's like a Muslim or something, isn't he?
First off, sir, when you say his name, could you please enter his middle name?
Yeah, you have to
Barack Hussein Obama, sir. Thank you.
Osama bin Laden. So thank you, sir.
But no, my point being, that was what, 20 years ago? A much different time period. Not saying that anybody should run around dressing up as a Muslim with a bullet through their head by any means. But it was specifically
this head of Al Qaeda just recently. Who was that?
Al Zarqawi.
Was it Trump? It was Trump.
He did that too.
Was it Trump? No, it was
Biden.
Biden.
Joe
no,
that
surprise.
Biden boom.
Why do these Democrats keep catching all these things? That doesn't work with the whole narrative. That's messing up the whole narrative.
It's that Biden boom, Mike.
Well, they're making the borders unsafe. Remember the whole narrative? That's messing the whole thing up.
The borders are unsafe, and Mark knows this because he's commented on the same ones. But on Twitter, the GOP Twitter account likes to point,
GOP?
Yeah, they like to point out when tons of drugs are seized and drug dealers are arrested at the border.
Oh yeah, they did.
Thinking that's somehow helping their cause.
Right.
But all that's letting me know is these border agents are really doing a good job down there.
Yeah, right.
They keep seizing all this meth and fentanyl.
We just got $1 billion worth of stuff.
The GOP never fails to fail. They never fail to cell phone.
Right. Cave in on themselves.
They just caught all these drug dealers at the border, see?
Right.
Yeah.
So we need more border security. Right. I don't know. They seem like they're doing pretty dang good.
It's millions of dollars of drugs.
It's so funny. Like, Trump is even the guy who appointed the director of the FBI. Like, it's that. Who's out to get him? Who's out to get him? The guy he appointed is out to get him.
That's the thing.
He's taking credibility away from the nation's most credible agencies.
Right.
And people are jumping right.
Remember when he was president of the United States, Mike? He famously went around talking about how he didn't trust the CIA or the FBI because they were corrupt.
Right. They were bugging him and all this stuff. Yeah. Which, by the way, They were, but
about this stuff that they raided him on. That's what they were bugging him about. They're like, dude, don't take those documents. You're still president. Literally, tomorrow's the day you stop being president. Right. Still don't take those documents. Like, they kept bugging him. Like,
but they've shown evidence. The reason why
they even
were
gave
bugging,
him chicken nuggets with it one time.
Which people haven't even brought this up. The reason why they were bugging where he was is because there was Russians there. Right? They were bugging Russians.
They caught
so
all those
he
people.
Was where these Russians were that they
like
were.
A giant
nobody wants
net.
to talk about that. They were bugging him. No, not him.
Yeah.
The Russians.
Nobody's out looking for dolphins.
And he was
they catch him
bugged.
in tuna
He was caught on, his voice was caught, but that's because he was in the same area, same room as the Russians. Nobody says anything about that.
Jay, Mike, I just want to bring one other little thing to your attention so that you guys have this while you're having your little discussion.
Still blown away.
It was our famous friend Donald Trump, if I might be so bold.
Oh, he's great. Biff Tannen is awesome.
He famously explained to everybody, and we saw it through the January 6th hearings, that it was Antifa.
That's right.
Dressed as his supporters who came to see him speak, and then because they loved trying to take him down much, they decided they would listen to every word he would say because that's the guy they trust as Antifa. Calmly, and they would go down and destroy a Capitol building.
Right. The greatest actors in history, these Antifa people.
Then they successfully changed themselves into Trump supporters, got arrested, and are now going to jail.
And some of them are even known Trump supporters going to jail. Yeah. So, they changed right back. So, they must have bamboozled these people into thinking to come with them. They are crafty. They're crafty. And they squiddled right away. They didn't even get caught.
It's about time to get out of here on the Q, ladies and gentlemen, here on 102 or 105. 5.3, 1280 AM, KYRO, News Radio, KYRO.com. But before we get out of here, a couple questions, real quick. First one, Mike, let's say you're stuck in a room with every person you've ever had sex with.
Yowzers.
What's your first move, bro? What is your first move in that room?
It's a pretty tight room. I don't think I can be able to
tight.
move. I mean, is it a big room or a small room?
Massive room. It's a massive room. It can hold 200 to 305,000 women.
This is a warehouse? I don't know. I guess I would jog around and see who follows me. I don't know.
Is it men and women or just women?
No, of course it's just women, man. My equipment that I have is not interesting to me at all. I mean, I have it. I've seen it a million times in the mirror.
Same.
I'm not like going. Doesn't turn me on. None of those things. I mean, to each their own. But to me, it's not attractive. I'm not.
All right, so
you're not attracted to men.
So you're in this room. We've got the 75 women you banged, or whatever you want to call it. However you want to get it.
No, like sexual, 1 or 2. There might have been 1 or 2.5.
Whatever. Okay, you're stuck in this. You're stuck in this room. You're stuck in this room with all the
third
women.
base on one.
Third base only on one of them. Okay. All right. Good. We got all the preferences.
All right.
You're stuck in a room though with all these women. What's your first move? What are you going to do? You going to try to get out? You going to try to duck out? You going to try to be kind and talk?
Maybe we can have a 3.5 some. You know what I mean? Because there's 2.5.
You're a single guy now.
We can have 3.5 some. So I'm a single guy now.
What about you, Jay?
No. But my ex-wife would not be into that, so that wouldn't happen. But no, there's more than 2. But what would I do? I probably would be very uncomfortable, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
And I would kind of be like, I got to get out. I got to get out of this situation. Like, hey, what's that over there? And then you go out like...
Yeah, I've been married a long time, though. I'd have to maybe hang out just to see what some of these people look like.
See what happened.
It's been a long time since I've seen some of these people.
So let me tell you this story real quick. On Snap, and I'm new to Snap, so I had these girls that I was dating, and I was going to send them this thing that I was introduced to on Netflix, this show, this picture that I took of it.
What's the show?
It's called something about a sex room. You're building a sex room. How to build a sex room. That's what it's called. So I was going to send it to him. And there was about 6 of them, right?
Search that up on Netflix, people. Mike Eise's personal film of the week. Sex room show on Netflix.
I go to send it to him, and somehow I send a video chat, and all of them get to know each other, and now they're all dissing on me in this chat about Mike's such a player. He said he wanted one girl, all this other stuff. I'm like, wow, this is a blow-up in my face, man.
Wow.
But what would I do? Same as I did right there. I got out of that chat immediately and exited stage right. And actually, it kind of did show me. I'm kind of glad it happened because it showed me who's on my side and who's not on my side. But it was a train wreck.
Now, this is a great question. We're all going to answer this, and it's going to be time for us to get out here on the show. What is the most important lesson we learned from COVID? What do you think the most important lesson you learned from COVID is?
That half the people around you are absolute jerks and don't care about anyone but themselves.
I learned that people are willing to give more of their money. Even like they always make it out to be like they're getting taxed in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a day.
Right.
That's how most human beings, doesn't matter your political stance, most human beings make themselves out to feel like they're getting taxed by the government and every tax they have to pay. So hundreds of thousands of dollars a week I'm paying, like in their head. But the truth is I learned that like people are willing to give a little bit more if they need to. They can do this. They can pull this off, and it doesn't hammer them. It doesn't take them down a notch on the society pegs of socials and financials. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not one of those things. People learned that they could give a little bit more. Like they could tip better. They could do this. They were willing to pay a little extra for curbside service with this restaurant or whatever. Like that's
I think
what
a lot of people learned that they like being at home, and they just became homebodies.
That's
especially these home workers, people that work from home. They became total. I don't leave my house. I mean, they get their groceries from it. There's a lot of people that have become total homebodies.
Now, I had a friend like that prior to COVID, my buddy John, and I love John to death. He's always been a little off, a little bit weird, not a bad guy or anything like that. His quirks. He's got his quirks to him. You know what I'm saying? We all got our quirks to us, but he's got his quirks to him too as a human being. And he was one of these people who was kind of a homebody. Like he's always kind of been a homebody for many, many years now that I've known him.
Right.
He's just become this homebody. And like when COVID happened, that was an easy run for him. Like, that was nothing because he was homebody anyway all the time. But I used to think it was weird pre-COVID when he would get his groceries delivered. I would think it was weird they would really kind of not leave that. Like, he would go to a doctor's appointment or to a meeting if he had to or whatever. But for the most part, he never left his house. And he would even work from home. Like, that last 2 years before COVID started, like 2018, 2019, he started working from home. Or 2019, I think he started working from home anyway.
Right.
So it was even before COVID started. So, like, I was already, it was kind of unique. He was a unique person before COVID. After COVID, he was like, oh, he's just a normal.
Well, and another thing I noticed about COVID is, and what pointed out to me is how much media loves this COVID deal. Because when it came around the first time, hundreds of thousands of people are dying from COVID over a period of time here. It's a pretty big deal. The second variant came out there. Okay, people are dying here and there. Third variant comes out. It's basically the cold. But they're still treating that cold like it's the original COVID strand.
Right.
I mean, it's like, big news, there's a blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but you're saying that it's very rare for people to die. So what you're actually saying is the cold is coming back around. And, like, it's not, let's not make panic here. And there's a lot of panic. I feel like, you know, that the media loves it so much, but at the same time, they create panic.
Do you think if COVID happened in, like, 1992, as many people die? I don't think so. Because I think in 1992...
They listen. They do listen. Exactly what they were told to do.
They're not on the internet researching.
Well, 2012.
People were smart.
What if it happened in 2012?
People believed the government more back then,
maybe
too.
2012, we would have had a president who would have taken it seriously.
Well, we already had avian flu. We already had bird flu at that point.
2012, we had a president that was saying, this is coming, and we need to be ready for this. And this is why we have... What was the thing that he put together internationally, and then Trump shut it down?
Yeah,
what was that?
It was a pandemic task force.
Task force, right.
Yes.
And he shut
the
it down.
White House.
And Trump laughed at it. He goes, we don't need this. It's a waste of money.
Yeah, guess what?
And, we might
Well, guys, as I've said many a time on the Q, it's about time for us to get out of here. But what I've also said many a time on the Q is I've never understood how Republicans or conservatives hate the word progress. Yes. Nobody ever opened a business and didn't want to progress from their first dollar to their second dollar. Everybody always wants progression, and progression means things are getting better, things are moving forward,
it's a change.
Things are changing. And I understand that hope and change became a dirty word with the Barack Hussein Obama presidency.
Don't leave that out.
But at the same point, progress has never been seen in my eyes as a bad thing. If you're a progressive, you seem to like want to move forward and progress in things.
Yeah. Right.
So I like that about a person. And you, listen, if you are truly a progressive person, you can still vote for other political people just because, like I said, it's a lifestyle now. It's not even about political ideology anymore. No. It's like, oh, I just like the Trump lifestyle. Okay, but you could be progressive in the mindset of wanting things to be better. We want to get better public schools. We want better education, better this, better that, whatever it is. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get out of here on the Q. First up, I want to thank my boy Mike Eise. Thank you so much. I want to thank Jason Kull.
Thank you.
Thank
you
so
limits
much.
for Congress.
That's right, term limits for Congress, as Mike Eise always says. And if you want to find out about us, go to theqnow.com. That's TheQNOW.com. Old episodes, new episodes, everything in between. That's going to do it for us every single Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. on KYRO, the blowtorch of the Midwest. We will see you guys next time on the show.